Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make the Aztec queen earrings. Now these are going to feature some really easy techniques. Basically it's going to be a simple wire loop and then how to open and close those simple wire loops. So I'm going to be using some pieces from Zola Elements today, and you can see that I've already created one of the gold, and I'm going to be repeating that here. So I'll show you how to make one earring. You of course just naturally repeat to make the second, but I wanted to bring out the silver components so that you can see that you can also make this in silver as well. Now to do this I'm going to be using some 4mm gemstones, and I have some little turquoise ones here, but again this is a great opportunity for you to personalize it with your favorite gemstone and color. So I have the two pieces here, and then I also have my earring hook, and then I'm going to be using some head pins, and I'm actually going to show you a neat little trick of how to convert a head pin into an eye pin so that if you just have head pins, you don't need to purchase a whole bunch of eye pins, just to use a couple if you kind of are running low or you don't have any on hand. So I'm going to teach you that little trick in this video here as well. So we're going to be using some really basic tools. We're going to be using some chain nose pliers, a pair of flush cutters, and a pair of round nose pliers. So if you have everything ready to go, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take one of my head pins here, and I'm just going to string on one of my 4mm beads and let that fall all the way down to the bottom there. And then I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to come in right at the base, right there, just above that bead. And I'm just going to bend it backwards so I get a nice little shape there coming out to the side. And then I'm going to wrap it up and over, creating a little loop. And then I'm just going to bring that wire right across to finish off that loop right there. And then I'm going to kind of hold that, remove my pliers, come in with my flush cutters, and I want to cut right before the loop closes so I get a nice little closure there. And then we can just set aside our little wire. So this is our first of our simple wire loops. So I'm going to repeat this 3 more times for my project here. Okay, so I have 4 of the little head pins with the simple wire loops, and now what I need to do is I need to create an eye pin because I'm going to be connecting these pieces here together. So I can just take one of my head pins here, and you see that I have the pin on this side. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my flush cutters and put the back of my flush cutters up against the pin, just like so. And be careful, you might want to hold it down there, and you're just going to snip, and that pin is going to come right off. So I have my little pin there, so I can just set that aside with my scraps. So now what I have is I just have a little piece of clean wire. So what I want to do is I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to start at one end, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of turn and rotate them until they come all the way down there towards the end, and I'm going to just flip it around and just bring it down all the way until it touches that wire, just like so. And then come in with a little fine tip there and just bend it back so that it looks a little bit more like an eye pin, just like so. And I'll show you that again in just a second. So what we're going to do now is we're going to flip that around because I have my eye pin, and I'm going to slip on one of my beads. And now this is going to be the one that's going to connect from the top of our little chandelier finding to our hook. But because of the way the opening is facing there, I'm going to need to do a loop that is perpendicular to the one that I've already added. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and this is going to be just as we did before. So you can see that this is the flat part of the loop, so I'm going to bend back towards it, just like so. And then I'm going to bend it up and over and around so that the loop is facing the opposite way. You see how that works? So now, again, same thing, just coming in with my flush cutters and snipping that off. So we're going to repeat that process one more time. So I'm going to set that aside there. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to do that same technique. I'm just going to remove the little pin there, making sure it doesn't go flying. There we go. And now what I want to do is I'm going to start by making a little bit of a larger loop. So I'm going to move a little bit further down my pliers there, because what I want this larger loop to do is I want this larger loop to work at the base of my next piece. So you can see that this loop is much larger because I need this to connect here, so I need that loop to be a little bit bigger. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and flip that around, and we're going to do the same thing, and this time you can do a regular size loop, bending that back, up and over the top, and around, just like so. And again, snipping that off. There we go. So we have our loops all ready to go, so let's go ahead and start connecting everything. So for this, we're going to use our chain nose pliers. And let's start by focusing on the chandelier pendant. So we have 5 little notches at the bottom. So the 2 on each side are going to be for the head pins, and then that center one is going to connect to our little half moon there. So I'm just going to come in and take one of my simple wire loops, and I'm just going to kind of just give it a little gentle opening there, just a little gentle twist, and I'm going to slip it on to one of the ends there. And when you close up your loops, you just want to make sure that they really are nice and closed and that they're nice and front to back, very stable. So there we go. So I have one on there. And I'm just going to move a little bit quicker. And this is where the 4mm beads really are the perfect size for this particular chandelier finding because they just fit so nicely together. There we go. And just closing that up. And now I'm going to move on to add this piece here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that larger loop there at the bottom, again doing that same simple opening. I'm going to slip on my little pendant, my little crescent moon there. And this is where we want to make sure that that loop is going to close up nice and tight. There we go. And I'm just using the leverage of my thumb. If you want, you can come in with a separate pair of pliers to do this as well. All right, and then I'm just going to slip that onto the center one. Close up that little loop. Again, making sure we're nice and closed. There we go. All right, so you can see how we're working our way across there. So I have 2 more little simple loops here, so let me do those really quick in the same manner. And close that up. And close that up. There we go. All right, so this is the bottom of our earring that we have here. So now our next part is to take our little loop here, and because both of these loops are the same, doesn't matter which one goes where, but again, we're just going to loop it onto the bottom and close that up. And I always like to have my loops facing towards the back if I can, so you can see that the opening is on the back. And then we just take our little loop here at the top, open that up. And again, just make sure that your earring hook is facing the right way. Hook it onto our little loop and close that back up. And there we are. We're all done. We have our lovely little earring. They're ready to go. And it's a nice pair of statement earrings, great for summer. And it's really easy to personalize with your favorite gemstones, and you can choose from gold or silver. And that is how to make the Aztec Queen earrings. You can get all of these supplies and see even more tutorial videos by heading over to Beadaholique.com.